Okay. Hey, yeah, so just starting recording now. So one of those things, hey. So basically what happened that I've been working myself out in my head about having this fire walk and how is it all going to work out. And like basically, oh my goodness, there were so many scenarios. Do I have to do a pedicure? What if I'm gonna burn my feet? I'm speaking the next weekend. How am I gonna wear my shoes? What if my nail polish burns on my toes? So it's like all kinds of scenarios was playing up in my head, and I was, oh no. And when it came to the actual experience, we got so worked up. It's like what they say, mind over matter. Oh my goodness, this is like no joke. Your mind is so powerful, and like having the right preparation for any situation in life can completely change the entire experience for anybody. Like when I walked on them calls, not I only didn't feel the heat, I felt like my feet were even softer than before. It's absolutely incredible. And I was so amazed by it. It's like I didn't, first of all, when I got to the event, I didn't want to think much about it because I was just getting nervous. It's like, listen, me walking on fire, are you crazy? Like it has never like happened. So I was really, 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 really nervous. And in the end of the day, it all worked fine. It all worked like beautifully, and it's like having a right people around, having a right atmosphere. It was so important, so important, so that it just happened. It's like, again, just tells me, mind over matter. So what I want to say with this is, if you are going through something in your life, and especially us women, we love to create stories. Well, so do men actually, but we women, we really love to create stories. But basically, just and hurt our own feelings in those stories. And then it's like suffer from that. It's like, oh my God. I know some people, they dream of stuff and then they like, hey, I know that my ex-boyfriend, he dreamt of me like kissing his friend, and he woke up so upset. And I know that it feels very real, but the whole truth is I've done nothing. You just like slept next to you, babe. And the next thing I know, he wakes up and he's like very moody with me. I'm like, what's happening? He's like, you kissed my friend in my dream. So yeah, it's like actually a great thing to do is to differentiate what is real and what isn't. And what is ultimately true is one of the biggest things. The ultimately true is, for me, is that I can achieve anything when I put my mind to it. I can walk on the fire, for God's sake, so this is huge. So special shouts out to Raymond Tyler. He put an incredible event and incredible speakers, incredible content. The atmosphere was absolutely great. It's like so many people from all over the world coming together and just facing their fears together. So hence I don't have a voice, hence my voice is a bit deep right now. But yeah, it's all great. Right. So let me get on with this. And like I'm usually asking my friends and my peers, and the people that I invite to pleasure conversations, I ask them to share their story. So today I'm going to share a bit of my story with you and just actually share with you how did I get to become a pleasure and intimacy coach? How did I like get to work with people from all over the world. And how do I actually find this, and it's like, has it been my dream since I was a kid? Perhaps not, and the truth is that it really wasn't. So I grew up in a small town called Salaspils in Latvia. It's about 20 minutes away from the capital. And you know how when you grow up in a small towns, that there is like everybody is getting into into your business. They just like, everyone is interested what is happening in your life. And basically my life at that point has been well, since actually I'm the only child, and I grew up with lots of my cousins and my friends, so I was a very happy child. And I remember my earliest memory is when I was 2 years old. My daddy was putting me to bed to sleep, and he was tucking me in, and he smelled of alcohol, and he had a cigarette in his hand. And I asked him, I was like, Daddy, why do you drink and smoke? And he was saying, well, honey, when you grow up, you're going to understand why. And I was like, Daddy, I will never drink and smoke. And basically, I formed a belief in that moment that being growing up and like I didn't really understand the concept of money, but basically what adults did was bad. And therefore money was bad. And as I was growing up, my parents were drinking more and more. And by the age of 8 years old, my parents actually became very excessive drinkers. So they always had people in the house. They always had fights, It was like a little arguments to start with that turned into really violent fights. And I always have been in the middle of those fights, because my mom, she used to get so drunk that she couldn't like defend herself. So I always was in the middle of my parents' fights, and my dad of my mom. Not a great place to be for a child, I must say. So it actually aggravated me to a very huge extent, that I had hysteria fits, that I couldn't calm down. So it has been quite full on. So I didn't want to stay at home very much. So I became a very rebellious child. And what kept on happening, that people who were in my town, what they've seen was that this young girl, she's like hanging out nights with grown-up boys. And I, like, being a teenager already at that time, it's like people didn't really see why is she hanging out with the grown-up guys, because I very quickly grew up. I became like part of this gang, and it's like got involved with mafia people at the age of 13. I had a really bad reputation in school, it's like people were slut shaming me all the time. So it has been pretty full on. And all I wanted, it was love and affection, and understanding. So nevertheless, I had some friends, and some friends that I'm still friends now with, and in particular, one of my friends, Marina. So she has been like my bestest friend in a whole world. And yeah, I was so happy that I had this person to to go to in my life. And so when we grew up, well, at the age of 18, I became a striptease dancer because I just wanted to claim my independence. Well, at the age of 15, I moved in with my first boyfriend because I wanted to run away from the wild environment at home. And at the age of 17, I broke up with this boyfriend, and I've tried to commit suicide. And it's not because of him I've tried to commit suicide, but the truth is, when I got back home after my breakup, I've been very raw, and I needed the support of my parents. And basically all they did was drinking alcohol, and they didn't even care about me, or how it occurred to me that they didn't care. They thought that I have it all sorted, and I really didn't. And this is where I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted or needed. It's like kind of assuming that they should know better, but they really didn't. So they lived their own life, I lived my own life. And after trying commit suicide, I was in a hospital, and I remember this doctor was passing by and talking to his trainee doctor, and just like the doctor, the one who's supposed to be like healing me and looking after me, and what he said was, it's like, oh, and here is this girl who is trying to bring some attention to herself. And I was like, that just like broke me. I was already like so broken. It's like, even now thinking about it, the tears come into my life, my eyes. And I was like, oh my God, this man doesn't even know me. He didn't even come to say hello, and he's making judgments on me already. I'm already destroyed, like completely destroyed. And he just killed me right there and then. So I've experienced, by this point in my life, I was 17, I have already experienced like a fair amount of domestic violence, rape, involved with mafia, already lived with a boyfriend, and his father ended up being alcoholic, so I couldn't stay there either, it's like. So at 17, I was already at this point where I had the whole world on my shoulders. I could never relax. I didn't think that I belonged, not even with my parents, never mind at school, a constant bullying. So I was really like, wow, overwhelmed with everything. So what happened after that, this boyfriend actually came to collect me from the hospital, and he said to me like, oh, if you think that we're gonna get back together, you're wrong. I was like, honey, trust me, I don't even want to get back together with you. Just take me home. So basically, at 18, I became a striptease dancer, and I started earning my own money. Well, I always was studying. This is a very interesting experience. I always was studying. So I actually been studying in a technical school because my childhood dream was to be a fashion designer, hence, all of this. So I actually know how to make clothes, and I love making clothes. And I'm planning on releasing the t-shirt line. So this would be the t-shirts, so I'm just like thinking about the design, and it's like very, very nice cut, and yeah, it's beautiful. So still the dream come true, hence Dare to Dream. Yeah, so what was happening then? Striptease dancer, yeah. Then I got married when I was 20, and I thought, I want to create my own family. I want to create things how I want them. I want kids, and I want husband, and I want to have nice family. Little did I know that I was marrying my dad, like in terms of not literally, but my husband is like my ex-husband was exactly, how would I say, exact copy of my dad, and it has been really, really crazy for me. So non-surprising that we ended up having a domestic violence and things happening at home. So I left my husband after 3 months of staying in marriage, and we got divorced a year after, exact year on my birthday. So that has worked out that way. So right now, actually, we're in a great relationship as exes can be. It's like he's very supportive of my work. He's very supportive, to say the least, and I'm very grateful for that. And basically, I have this huge trail of unsuccessful relationship. In fact, each of my relationships have been violent. Each of my relationships had alcohol and drugs involved. Each of my relationship had emotional abuse of some sort. And one relationship in particular, well, I'm very sexual, in case you don't know. So, and I always have been. I always have been, and these have been like my one of my traits since I was very young. That I always have been in touch with my sexuality, and I knew the power of sexuality. I could never put words into that. So I kept on resisting it until I found myself in a strip club where I could embrace that. So I could embrace the part of myself that other people actually was putting me down for. So I thought that finally I have found my tribe. And being a striptease dancer has not been actually much easier. It's like still like lots of drinks, lots of drugs, but the lifestyle of freedom, which I really, really enjoyed. I really enjoyed having my like money every like all the time. I just have to like show up and be sexy and like do what I love, which is dancing and shaking my booty, and I would get paid for it. And I mean, like, I get to travel the world, I get to like experience all these great places. Nevertheless, I've been dying inside, like just dying inside. Is like every single day been like off my head, every single day been off like with a hangover the next day, and things like that. By the time I get an over hangover, I'm going back into work and drinking more even when I can't drink. At this particular time, I remember I was working in Portugal, and I was performing on some like rock festival, and I got to the point I had such a strong hangover. I was like sweating. I couldn't, and I couldn't eat. I'm shaking, like, oh, so this is like supposed to be glamorous, right? And I could hardly actually hold myself together. So what was happening? Uh, this person who owns the club that we was working for, he took us to the restaurant, so we would have a meal before we go on stage. And I remember sitting and having a shots of vodka and chasing them up with the milk, because my stomach was burning me inside, and it's like I remember all these people who work in the restaurant, they just like got around the table just looking at me that I'm drinking shots of vodka with chasing with the milk, and because I just couldn't drink anymore. But I needed to make myself feel better, and apparently like if you drink more you feel better, and it did work until it didn't. So that has been my lifestyle until I was 28, and I was in a relationship with this guy that I've met, and he seemed to be ticking all the boxes that needed for me, like for my man that I have created in my vision, like to be in my life. And basically he ticked all the boxes apart from one, that I assumed that everyone is happy, and this guy, he just wasn't. He was miserable. So he was miserable and bringing me down all the time. And I didn't know that at the time, until I got depressed and until I put 10 kilos on. I was like always very fit and very active girl. And what happened there? And that actually, um, being in a relationship, moving in with him, I put on 10 kilos, and I got severely depressed. So I wouldn't leave the house. I wouldn't do anything. I would sleep till 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I would wake up, make myself breakfast, watch TV, and then at 5, 6, he was back from work. So we would have dinner, watch more TV, and like perhaps have sex. But then my libido died also. So I was not excited by having sex. So in fact, I got repulsed by when he was like going to touch me. And in this moment, I really have realized that I'm living my mom's life. One time my mom, she called me and saying is like, hey, listen, what is that you need, to like, she started complaining about my dad. And what happened, I said to her, mom, if you don't like, where you are, just leave. You don't have me living with you anymore, and you don't have like, just leave if you're not happy. And basically when I put the phone down, I thought, it's like, I'm living my mom's life. I have exactly the same complaints. I have exactly the same things, so I left. And it has been the best decision I have ever made, because from there, my healing began. And my healing now, so I knew that my life is going to change by the age of 30, and or my life changed. My dad died when I was 29, on just like a couple of days before New Year. And it actually triggered lots of emotions in myself. So all of my emotions came up, and what happened was, I gone into the very, very dark place, because I have realized that I blocked out lots of memories from my consciousness. And I just had, like, I just hit the rock bottom. By that time, I was already working in a global law firm. I already started like sorting my life out, but surface level sorting my life out. So I was working in a global law firm where people were really great. It has been my dream to work in the city, and I achieved that. I've been so proud of that. People welcomed me very nicely. So shout out to you girls from HSF. Yeah, big love, and thanks for welcoming me in your environment. And that has been great. And they have been very supportive of my journey. They really was understanding what was happening. And it came to the point where I had to leave for the next thing. And next thing has become a self-development. So when I left, I didn't know what I was going to do and how I'm going to do that. All I knew, I love pleasure. I love intimacy. It didn't come natural to me to be intimate with a person. In fact, it has been so unnatural to me. Hence why now I'm a professional, right? Because I had to overcome a lot of adversity to get to the point where I can be intimate with people and open with people. And, you know, um, fundamentals of what has been important is in this journey is self-love. Fundamentals of asking for what you want is self-love, because basically asking for what I want, it has been always my thing. But what I really, really want, that that has been challenging. It's like, it's easy to ask for, like, for me personally, it's easy to ask for things in bed. It's easy to ask for things like, oh, bring me this, or like, can you do this for me? It's not that complicated for me anyway. What was difficult for me is asking for help. It was asking for support, that has been difficult. What has been difficult for me is asking for the intimate connection where I had to put my heart on the line, right? So that has been very, very, very challenging. And from learning and healing for several years now, I have been on this self-recovery journey for like 3 years, maybe 3 years and something. No, 3 years. Yeah, 3 years now. I have 3 years seems to be very interesting time. Like most of the people have got like an awakening 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago. So interesting. It's like something in something happened like 3 years ago. I'm just gonna have a glass of water. Mm. So right, so self-love have been an absolute fundamental part of my self-recovery, learning to love myself in all the places that I needed love. And actually what I kept doing is looking for love elsewhere, looking for love and validation from my partners, looking for love and validation from my parents, where I actually didn't learn to love myself. I kept on thinking that I'm bad, that I'm rebellious, that I don't give a fuck, and I just gonna put you all to the test here, you know. And essentially, I just isolated myself. Which what happens now when I'm working with people, that people like I'm working with, they're going more or less with the same things, and like trust me, I have worked with like a lot of people, like um, in total perhaps like 100 or maybe more. And I'm just like right at the beginning of my journey, well, 1.5 years in. And this is very exciting for me, that I actually see the resemblance of each like of people, my own resemblance in people, which is beautiful, you know. And therefore I have created this self-love challenge, 7-day challenge, to actually help women in particular. You know, I was thinking about doing for men too, but you know, I don't want to keep it too complicated. So this challenge is for women, where in 7 days I'm going to be sharing my morning routines. What do I do? How do I do it? You know, how to get in the mood. Because like, trust me, when you are in some funky place in your life, you have to know how to get out, how to stand up, you know, to your own self, and really like plug yourself out of the misery and plug yourself into the state that you really desire to be in, you know. Because I really feel that it's important to look good. So hence, you know, I'm doing this challenge again because I love looking good and I love feeling good too. And don't get me wrong, I'm not pushing away the states of where I'm not feeling good, you know, because I do feel low sometimes also, especially when I give a lot, you know. And if you are a giver and you want to give all the time, it is very, very important to maintain your own energy. It's very important to maintain your body, your mind, and your spirit. And like essentially all of my um, um, teachings are based on body, mind, and spirit, and how do we actually correlate all of that together. Because it's like, if you only look after your body, your mind and your spirit are taking a seat back, and you can't find fulfillment in having that. You can't find fulfillment in only one aspect of like uh, our being, you see. So it has to be body, mind, and spirit. It's like our spirit lives in our body, our mind is represented by our body, and we need to learn how to create this good relationship with both. because our body is communicating to us all the time and is asking for things. This is the greatest thing, that our body is asking for things, is communicating our desires to us, and this is so great. So asking for what you want, again, I actually going to be talking about your desires and asking for what you want on Saturday on the Money, Orgasm and Relationships event in London. Oh, and this is like my favorite thing to do, is to talk about desires and how to ask for what you want. And I actually have prepared a really, really awesome exercise for you guys. So for those of you who's coming to join us, I would absolutely love for you to be there and share my knowledge and my wisdom along with other incredible people in the room, and incredible speakers, incredible practitioners. We have Michael Charmin, we have Luke Scott, Eva, we have Maria, and of course Jay Diamond. And our knowledge together is very, very powerful in a space of relationships and sexuality, in a space of tantra, in space of, Michael is a banker, so he's going to be talking about how to actually achieve a financial freedom. So, and it's all intertwined together. I was talking today just before coming on live about how we interact with money. We are in a relationship all of our lives, but at school yet we don't learn how to deal with money, or how to be in a relationship. We don't learn how to interact with one another, and this is something that is very sad. So, and sad, and it's an opportunity for people like myself to create the space where I can share my knowledge, because I do have a huge passion for being this difference in the world. My desire is to touch, move, and inspire lives of 5 million people by the end of 2020. And the coolest thing is that I cannot do this alone. I do not want to do this alone. And I was actually thinking all my life that, hey, listen, I want to be working by myself. The truth is, now that I'm an entrepreneur, I don't want to be working by myself. Why would I want to do that for? It's like, it's boring. It's boring. It's like, it's so much fun when you have got a community. It's so much fun when you have got people around you that you can share your successes with. It's like, every time when I have a success, I just gonna pick up my phone and I call my friend. I share things in my communities. It's like, I want people to be happy with me. I want to share my happiness. It's like, what's the point of my happiness if I'm gonna keep it to myself only? There is it's such an infectious thing. I'm pretty sure that you know what I'm talking about. That when I have got when you're walking into the room,
there is
oh my goodness,
it's such an infectious thing. I'm pretty sure that you know what I'm talking
I can
about.
hear myself, yeah.
When
okay, so this is better, right? So, I didn't expect that to happen. So yeah, so you probably know when you're walking into the room and someone is happy, this one person is happy in the room, that you can pick up those vibes from that person. And in the same way, when you're walking into the room and that somebody is angry, you can just feel that, because we are all made of energy. We are energy, and transmuting our energy, and transmitting to one another, it's like something absolutely natural. I can feel people from very, very far. So I have I have actually never understood the power of limbic connection. And what was happening that I kept on feeling this one particular day myself, and how did I feel, and how was, like, I didn't feel myself, and I didn't understand what was happening. And basically, my mom called me later on, and she was like talking about like shame and guilt, and it's like how, like, basically I was feeling my mom. So we have all this connection, you know. And even when I'm working with my clients, I can just feel what they feel, even people around me. So it's like, it's so important to be able, like, especially being very sensitive, it's so important to self-love and self-care, and give yourself that pleasure. Because again, we so expect from other people to actually give us to what we want, and we forgetting that all power in that is in our own hands. It's in our own hands. We all are capable of giving ourselves what we really want. Because if you cannot give this to yourself, how can you expect to be able to receive that from somebody else? And another thing came for me not that long, you know. It's like we are, especially as women, we are so quick to like ask and expect things from the one to give me what I want, that what happens, I am forgetting that first of all, it's not only just anybody can come and give me what I want, but what happens that this person has to have a specific qualities. Because for women, one of the main thing to be able to accept and receive what we really want, we have to feel safe. And feeling safety, emotional safety, is one of the like absolute foundations for us being able to relax. And this is where the ability to receive pleasure comes from. Because like, what happens if you are not fully trusting that person to take you on a journey or to give you what you want? Even like, he can be the most handsome man in the world, he can be the most like advanced in his like love making skills, but if you do not have the trust, you will struggle to relax. And if you struggle to relax, your vigilance is going to be up. So when your vigilance is up, you cannot relax. It's like like catch 22 here, right? So what happens then you stay in your head and not in your body. So when you stay in your head and not your body, um, the ability of you to receive pleasure are much lower than when you fully relaxed. And what happens, he cannot give you that safety. Ultimately, he cannot give you that safety. This safety that we expect potentially coming from him, you have to learn how to give that safety to yourself. Like right now, I can walk into any experience and I know that I got me. No matter what, I got me. I got my own back, you know. It's like, no matter the situation. And what happens, knowing that you got you, knowing that you have got your own back, this is where the internal safety comes from. And this internal safety gonna carry you through and allow you to relax as much as possible in any situation. Okay, and um, essentially, like I told you earlier, that I have been through all kinds of experiences, you know, and I was looking for external validation and people from um, from my partners and my parents and people like that. And it's like, when I was not getting, it was breaking my heart. Oh damn it, it was breaking my heart. It was so hard um to live with that. Yeah. And right now, if you try to break my heart, you can't do it. You can try breaking my heart all you like, and it's just impossible. So when I see that people are guarding themselves, people are guarding their heart, it's like what they need is internal safety. So once you have this internal safety, nobody can take it away from you. It all starts with you. And I only and truly learned that last year. And it has been the most incredible experience of my life. And I've learned exact power of how powerful internal safety is when I was breaking up with my last partner, November last year. And I thought that, I've been in the best relationship of my life, and I have gone through so much healing, and I'm like so grateful to this man for crossing paths with me. And like every moment we were together, I was healing more and more and more, that he was like a key to unlock my happiness. So I'm healed. Right. And what's happening now is that and we were separating, right? So we wanted different things, and like I'm very certain in where I'm going, and he is still looking like and discovering his path. And the life came to the point that our paths were meant to go separate ways. And it was really a test for myself to experience, how do I feel about myself. So I, first of all, I give myself permission to experience every single emotion. If I was feeling sad, if I wanted to cry, I just did all of that. And the best thing was that I wasn't sad for long, in terms of I had to take time and slow down everything and ask myself, so how do I feel about my breakup with this person? And I was like, oh, I feel sad. Okay, so, and I felt this sadness. Oh, I feel this way. Oh, I feel this way. And really, 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 really acknowledging these feelings about myself. How do I feel about myself? And ultimately, I had to ask myself a question. So, what does it mean about me that we are not together? And the answer was, what does it mean about me is that I have an opportunity to be happy, you know, because what usually we make it mean that somehow I'm not good enough if we are not together. But what if like you would change your perspective, that and not attach the loss into the equation? What if you attach the opportunity instead? Because we are so quick to like judge ourselves about like, oh, it means I'm not worthy, it means that I'm not lovable. Oh, this is a big one, not being lovable. This has been my thing all over, like, come on, would lovable person go through domestic violence? I don't think so. So what happened, I just had to think, it's like, what does it mean about me? And essentially what it meant about me, that I get a chance to be happy on my terms and meet the person who actually gonna be the best fit for me, the way I am, who gonna receive my bigness, my hugeness, my asking for what I want, my mission in life, and my sexuality. Because listen, I know it takes a special kind of guy to be able to handle me. I'm very fucking full on, and I'm not hiding it. Have huge appetite for everything pretty much, and it's not very easy for people to handle, and I'm totally fine with that. So knowing all this, that Like essentially what my breakup means about me is that it's an opportunity, not a loss. It's a huge turnaround. So therefore, self-love, this is where I got this massive realization. If I have so much love for me, by me, there is nobody can take it away. So nobody else's love or lack of love towards me can actually take any my own love away from my own love towards myself. And this is where the essential part comes from. When you give yourself everything that you desire to receive from people around you, you will never gonna get empty. You will never gonna get depleted. You might in fact need some time to refill yourself, like especially working with people, it's very important to have this recharging moments, to recharge your batteries and to give yourself this time to refill your cup. And this is why I'm doing this 7-day challenge that is really, 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 really important for women to do, because we are so quick to give to everybody else and ourselves last. So ladies, you can find the link just at the top, and it's actually a early bird price until tomorrow, which is only £10. And after Wednesday, the price goes up to £27 to join us. I know we have got already, I would love to have 10 women. I have 4 so far. So ladies, please come and join me. I would absolutely love to have you on. And we're going to be meeting on Monday on Zoom in a private setting, setting intentions. I'm going to be sharing with you my routines. I will be sharing with you my good mood, my and like lots of other stuff, just go and read. If like, I just would invite you to join and just love yourself, because it's just absolutely totally worth it. And if you still would like some more information, you can read it at the link above. And so one thing that I would like to leave you with is, no matter where you are in life, what point, what experiences in life you're currently having, I would like to invite you, just not defining your value by somebody else's inability to see value in you. The most important asset of all times in all of your life you will ever have is you. It's you, yourself, and you. Okay? And nobody, once you got your own back, nobody can take it away from you. Once you got your own desires, knowing what you want, once you got this self-love for yourself, once you start treating yourself the way you want to be treated by others, your life gonna change fundamentally. I'm gonna be talking so much more on that at the event on the weekend. So click on the link above to see the details about that, and come and join us. Come and like mingle with me, Let's talk about desires, because it's always fun thing to do. And last thing I want to leave you with is love yourself, because all the biggest asset you have in your life is you. So saying that, I'm sending you lots of love. Love yourself, be kind to yourself, and know that you're totally worth it. You're worth everything that you desire. And on this note, I wish you a fantastic rest of the evening. Thanks for tuning in. I can see there are some questions, not questions, but there are some how I forgot what they called, comments. That there they are, right? And thanks for tuning in, ladies, gentlemen. I wish you a fantastic rest of the evening. My name is Eugina O Liberty, and I am an international pleasure and intimacy coach. I am co-founder of Academy of Conscious Sexuality, Orgasmic Queen online courses for women, and I'm founder of Pleasure Conversations. So have lots of love towards yourself, and hopefully see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.